Megan West is a 32-year-old Sheldon native who began her addiction to oxycodone at age 15. Since then, heroin and crack cocaine have consumed her life. She was federally indicted last year for participating in a mass straw purchase in which she and 4 other Vermonters bought at least 30 firearms for Boston drug dealers in exchange for narcotics. Currently 7 months sober, Megan joins us today to share her personal story of addiction. Megan, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, at age 14, you started smoking pot and you tried alcohol.
Yes.
How did it escalate?
I would have to say when I got into high school, it was more like a peer pressure thing for me. And I wanted to fit in, and I come from a small community, so that's how it led up to more drugs and alcohol for me.
And so you were introduced to OxyContin?
Yes. I was in a car accident when I was 15. A drunk driver hit me and one of my friends, and they prescribed opiates to me.
And so when did you know you were addicted?
I'd have to say when I wake up in the morning and knowing that I have to immediately take that drug. I knew that I needed it, and I needed more of it.
And so what happened when the prescription ran out?
For a while I would lie to the doctor saying that I would need more, but then it escalated of me buying them on the streets.
So you were buying the pills on the street?
Correct.
So I want to explain that oxycodone is actually a chemical cousin of heroin, and so you can understand it as synthetic heroin. Did you know you were taking synthetic heroin?
Absolutely not, no.
So when you knew you had that urge for it, did you know that you had practically become a heroin addict?
No, I didn't know. I just knew that I was addicted at that point to pills. So, I mean, that's what I was doing. So. And
so when did the pills change into heroin?
I'd have to say in my 20s, I'd have to say so I would do Percocets, and then it escalated to Oxy 80s, and then from there I went to 30s, and then when they ran out, I chose heroin because A, it was cheaper, and that's what dealers were coming here with in Vermont. So
in the last 5 years or so, the federal government realized that people were abusing these drugs, and so they cracked down on it. But what had happened is that an entire generation of Americans had been primed for opioid addiction, and so then the dealers came in with heroin and now fentanyl.
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell us what your a day was during the peak of your addiction? What was your day like?
So before I even made it out of bed, I'd be on my cell phone texting not just one but multiple dealers for heroin. Even if I the night before had gotten, say, a couple bags of heroin and I know that I'm not sick, I still would make that phone call as if I was sick. So I mean, my peak was, oh man, like 3 bundles or more. And, you know, that's a lot for somebody to consume.
Did you ever overdose?
I have not ever. Okay. I had an allergic reaction one time, and you think that would, you know, scare me. But the person that I was dating, you know, went through all the precautions of like Benadryl and sticking me into a bathtub to cool me off. But it still wasn't enough for me. Okay,
so my understanding is that 20% of the U.S. workforce has been impacted because a lot of young people got hooked onto it. Have you ever had a job?
Yes, absolutely. And then even when I, you know, had a job, I was still using, and I hid it very well, and that's not okay.
Oh, so but you were able to hold on to the job?
I was, because the person that I was hired by was also a user.
Oh.
So.
Okay. And another thing people say is that, you know, heroin addicts or any addict hurts at least 5 people in their lives. And I know you have children.
Yes.
How would you say your addiction has affected them?
I basically lost my children about 5 years ago because of my addiction, and it's a struggle. You know, people don't realize what it does to you. And I mean, other mothers, I'm sure, that have lost their children understand that. I'm quite lucky to have my mom and my siblings and my dad be a part of their lives because they're not in DCF, and I've never had that involvement. But I see other people that have been in my situation have that, and I'm actually being able to have an opportunity to have my children back in my life, you know, and I thank God every day for that.
Megan, you have a really compelling story to share. We're going to continue talking to you next week.
Okay.
Where we'll dialogue with Megan again and learn about the federal crime that she committed and how time in prison put her on the path to recovery and redemption.